My child, pause right now. Do not scroll. Do not rush past this. I am not speaking into noise, and I am not sharing this moment with anyone else. This is not meant for a crowd. This is not for entertainment. This is a sacred interruption, and it is only for you and me. I stepped into your moment deliberately. I stopped you mid-movement, mid-thought, even mid-breath, because what I am about to speak cannot be diluted by distraction. When I call like this, it is because something important must be heard clearly. This moment did not surprise me. It was not formed by chance or habit. Long before you ever felt tired of being strong, long before your fears had names or your questions took shape, I saw this exact second. I knew where you would be. I knew what you would be carrying in your heart. I knew how close you would be to tuning everything out, and still, I waited. I waited because timing matters when love is involved, and timing matters when direction is about to change. You may think you arrived here randomly. You did not. You were guided. You were led. Out of countless distractions competing for your attention. You were brought here because your heart was finally quiet enough to listen. This message is not general. It was not written to inspire strangers. It was formed around you, your history, your wounds, your silent questions, and the future you cannot yet see. If you were not here, these words would not exist. That is how personal this is. Do not treat this lightly. Ignoring this moment will not leave things unchanged. Neutral does not exist here. Receiving brings movement. Walking away brings delay. I am not threatening you. I am telling you the truth, because truth protects. This is a moment of clarity, not fear. You are not in trouble. You are not being examined or judged. You are being invited closer. I feel the familiar tension rising in you, the urge to pull back, to guard yourself, to tell yourself you will listen later. Let me replace that fear with closeness. Fear tells you to hide. Love asks you to lean in. And I am asking you to lean in now. Strip away titles, expectations, labels, and performance. This is not about religion. It is not about proving anything. It is about connection. Something begins the moment you stop resisting and start receiving. Inner shifts happen before outer change. Seeds are planted before growth is visible. And right now, something is being placed within you that will not leave you the same. Stay here. Do not multitask. Let this moment finish what it started. Because what I reveal next will explain why your heart has felt restless lately. My child, understand this clearly. Heaven is not confused about your life. While you felt delayed, uncertain, or paused, I was precise. Every step you took, every pause you resented, every ache you could not explain carried you toward this moment. I did not rush you here, and I did not drag you here. I aligned circumstances so you would arrive ready, not just present. You wondered why certain doors closed without explanation, why progress slowed just when you tried harder, why familiar paths stopped feeling satisfying. You thought something was wrong with you, but what you were feeling was transition. Old seasons were loosening their grip. New awareness was forming quietly beneath the surface. And awareness always arrives before change. I did not interrupt your life to confuse you. I interrupted it to clarify. There are moments that cannot be postponed without consequence. Not because I stop loving you, but because timing carries responsibility. Some opportunities are shaped for specific seasons. If they are ignored, they do not always return in the same form. I know you are cautious. I know you analyze deeply. I know you fear misunderstanding my voice. But hear this with peace. I do not play games with my children. When I call you like this, it is because something must be spoken now, not later. I see the hesitation rising, the part of you that wants certainty before surrender. But certainty grows after trust, not before it. This is not pressure, it is preparation. I am not asking you to leap blindly. I am asking you to stay open. You do not need to solve anything right now. You only need to listen without armor. Let go of the need to evaluate every sentence. Let your heart receive before your mind analyzes. You are safe here. Nothing is being taken from you. Only clarity is being offered. And clarity always asks for honesty in return. Do not tell yourself this message is meant for someone else. If it were, you would not feel this internal pull. That tug is recognition. Something within you already knows this matters. Stay present. What comes next will explain why certain connections faded and why solitude shaped you more than you realized. My child, do you remember when connection felt simple? When you did not rehearse prayers or measure faith? There was a time when silence did not scare you. When tears came without resistance. When you spoke honestly, not carefully. You did not need many words then. You simply came, and I met you there. Those moments were real. They were not emotional phases or imagination. They were genuine closeness. I remember them clearly. I remember the quiet conversations, the whispered prayers, the moments when your heart softened without effort. Faith did not feel heavy then. It felt alive. Not because life was easy, but because trust was uncluttered. You may wonder why that closeness faded. You may feel sadness when you remember it. You may question whether you did something wrong. Hear me gently. You did not fail. Life layered weight onto your heart slowly. Responsibilities grew. Disappointments stacked. Survival became louder than stillness. You learned to manage instead of surrender. And fatigue replaced intimacy. I did not move away. I did not withdraw. I waited. Love does not disappear when attention fades. Love remains steady. The distance you felt was not my absence, it was your exhaustion. Even when prayer felt forced, I stayed near. Even when silence felt uncomfortable, I remained patient. Those moments of closeness were not meant to stay in the past. They were foundations, not highlights. And I am reminding you of them now because connection can be restored. Not by recreating who you were, but by bringing who you are now. Intimacy deepens through honesty, not effort. You do not need to perform faith. You only need presence. And what I reveal next will show you why your heart has felt heavier than rest can fix. My child, your tiredness is deeper than physical. What you have been carrying is spiritual weight. You wake with it, you sleep with it. You learned how to function while holding it, even smile while it pressed against your chest. But I have always seen it. There is a sadness you rarely name. Not dramatic, not loud, but steady. You hide it well because you do not want to burden anyone. You tell yourself others have it worse. You tell yourself to be grateful. But hidden pain does not shrink, it settles. You have felt unseen even when surrounded by people. You showed up, you listened. You carried others while feeling invisible yourself. Loneliness does not always come from being alone. Sometimes it comes from being emotionally unseen while still present every day. You were never weak. You were overloaded. You carried responsibility that was never meant to rest on your soul. You believed strength meant holding everything together alone. And over time, that strength became heavy. Hear this clearly. Feeling heavy does not mean you failed. It means you have been strong for too long without rest. True strength knows when to release. And I am inviting you to release now. You do not need to explain. You do not need to justify your exhaustion. Let me carry what you no longer can. This is not weakness. This is healing beginning. And what I speak next will answer the questions you were afraid to say out loud. My child, I know the thoughts you never voiced. I heard them forming before you pushed them away. You wondered quietly if you were enough. You compared yourself and felt behind. You questioned your purpose. You doubted whether prayer mattered. You feared the future in ways you never admitted. None of this shocked me. None of it pushed me away. Faithful people still question. Struggle does not cancel belief. Doubt does not erase love. Weariness distorts perception, not truth. You are enough because you are mine, not because of achievement. Your purpose was never fragile. It unfolds through relationship, not pressure. Nothing in your story was wasted. Even detours shaped depth. Bring your questions into the light. Honest doubt deepens trust. Silence builds walls. I am not impressed by polished words. I am moved by open hearts. You are fully known and fully loved. And now, what comes next will show you why this moment changes how you walk forward. My child, there were moments when you felt unseen, even while standing in the middle of people. Conversations happened around you, laughter filled the space, yet your heart felt like it was watching life through a window. You wondered why connection felt just out of reach, why being present did not always mean being understood. You told yourself not to complain, not to be dramatic, not to need too much. So you stayed quiet and carried loneliness with dignity. You learned how to appear strong. You perfected the smile. You answered, "I'm fine," without hesitation. You showed up for others while quietly wishing someone would notice how much effort it took just to be there. You did not want to burden anyone. You did not want to seem needy. And so you carried pain silently, believing strength meant endurance without expression. There were nights when everything you held in during the day finally spilled out. You cried quietly, sometimes without knowing why. Not because of one event, but because of accumulation. Unspoken grief, delayed hope, constant pressure. You cried because holding yourself together for so long left nothing for the night. And in those moments, when you believed no one saw you, I was there. I did not observe from a distance. I sat with you in the quiet. I felt the ache in your chest. I understood the thoughts racing through your mind. You may have felt abandoned, but you were never alone. Every tear mattered. None were wasted. Each one carried meaning, even when no words followed. I did not rush you to stop crying. I did not tell you to be stronger. Tears are not weakness. They are honesty. They are release. They are the soul breathing when it can no longer hold everything inside. You needed someone to see the real you, not the composed version, not the capable version, but the tired and hurting version. I saw that version long before anyone else did. You were never invisible to me. When your kindness went unnoticed, when your efforts were taken for granted, when you questioned whether anyone would notice if you stopped trying so hard, I noticed. I honored those moments. Even when no one thanked you, even when no one acknowledged the cost. You were responding to real emotional need. And I was responding with presence. What I show you next will change how you understand the silence you walked through. My child, you often wondered why I did not speak sooner, why answers felt delayed, why silence lingered when you needed clarity most. You questioned whether I was distant, whether you had done something wrong, whether your prayers were being ignored. But silence was not abandonment. It was shaping. There are seasons when silence protects more than words ever could. If I had spoken earlier, you would have heard pressure instead of guidance. You were still learning how to survive, still learning how to stand after disappointment, still learning how to endure unanswered questions without losing yourself. You needed shelter before instruction. Silence taught you endurance. It taught you how to keep going without constant reassurance. It showed you where you depended too much on outcomes instead of presence. It revealed what you reached for when comfort was removed. None of this was punishment. It was preparation. You were becoming deeper than you realized. Depth is not formed in clarity, it is formed in waiting, in holding tension, in choosing not to harden when answers take time. Silence stretched you, but it did not break you. It widened your capacity to hear truth without fear. I did not speak because your heart was not ready to hold what I wanted to give. Some truths need maturity to receive them safely. Love does not rush revelation. It protects the receiver. And I was protecting you. But silence does not last forever. There comes a moment when waiting no longer protects, it costs. And this is that moment. That is why my voice sounds clearer now. That is why urgency feels present without panic. You are ready now. The silence shaped you so the words could land properly. And what I speak next will explain why this moment could not come earlier or later. My child, timing in my kingdom is not random. It is precise. I do not arrive early to impress or late to apologize. I arrive when hearts are ready and moments can still be redeemed. This moment could not have come sooner, and it cannot come later. Earlier, you were still learning how to survive pain. Still learning how to stay soft without breaking. If I had spoken then, you might have misunderstood the weight of what I was saying. You might have heard pressure instead of direction. So I waited. Later, this message would have arrived after hesitation hardened into habit. Questions would have turned into resignation. You would have begun accepting things that were never meant to be permanent. I will not allow that. Love does not watch destiny drift quietly. You feel urgency now, not fear, awareness. Something inside you knows this matters. That recognition is alignment beginning. When your heart and heaven start agreeing, clarity rises naturally. This version of you had to exist for this message to land correctly. Not the younger you who hoped easily but broke quickly. Not the future you who might grow cautious and closed. This you, tired but open, wounded but listening, is ready. That is why you are here now. And what comes next will reveal what changes when alignment begins. My child, change does not begin on the outside. It begins quietly, internally. Awareness changes posture. Truth changes direction. Closeness changes courage. You may not feel dramatically different yet, but something has already shifted. You will start noticing small changes first. The way you respond instead of react. The way you pause instead of panic. The way choices feel clearer without forcing certainty. These are signs of alignment, not coincidence. Fear will not disappear overnight, but it will lose authority. Doubt will still speak, but it will no longer dominate. You will begin trusting your inner stillness more than external noise. That is where my guidance lives. You are not becoming someone new. You are returning to who you were before fear taught you to armor yourself. And that return brings strength, not vulnerability. What shifts inside will eventually shape what changes outside. And next, I will show you how to walk forward without rushing or retreating. My child, moving forward does not require certainty. It requires trust. You are not asked to run ahead or stay frozen. You are asked to walk with awareness. Step by step. Present. Open. You do not need to have everything figured out. You only need to stay responsive. When you listen, I guide. When you pause, I clarify. When you move, I walk with you. You are not late. You are not behind. You are exactly where growth meets readiness. And that is enough. Remain open. Stay present. Do not retreat into old habits of silence. Because what comes next will reveal the strength you didn't know you had. My child, I need to correct something you believed about yourself. You thought you were falling apart. You thought you were losing strength. You thought something was wrong with you because you felt overwhelmed so often. But you were not falling apart. You were being stretched beyond what you had known before. When pressure increased, you assumed it meant failure. When emotions surfaced, you assumed weakness. When restlessness grew, you assumed confusion. But those were not signs of collapse. They were signs of expansion. Growth often feels like instability before it feels like clarity. You are learning to live with greater depth. The old containers you used to rely on could no longer hold what you were becoming. That is why familiar coping methods stopped working. That is why distractions lost their power. That is why silence became uncomfortable. You were outgrowing survival mode. You interpreted discomfort as danger, but it was invitation. You thought something was wrong because things no longer felt easy. But ease is not the measure of alignment. Truth often unsettles before it steadies. You did not lose yourself. You were shedding what no longer fit. The parts of you that relied on constant reassurance, external approval, or predictable outcomes were loosening their grip. That process felt frightening, but it was necessary. I was not watching you struggle from afar. I was steadying you while you adjusted. I allowed discomfort, but I did not allow destruction. I held the boundaries. I limited the weight. I protected your core even while the surface felt unsteady. You were not breaking. You were becoming stronger in a quieter way. And next, I will show you what strength actually looks like. Now, my child, strength no longer looks like forcing yourself to keep going. It no longer looks like pretending you are unaffected. It no longer looks like carrying everything alone. True strength now looks like discernment. Knowing when to pause. Knowing when to speak. Knowing when to release. Knowing when something is not yours to fix. You used to believe strength meant endurance without rest. But endurance without wisdom leads to exhaustion. I am teaching you a deeper strength, the kind that trusts instead of controls. You are learning to listen before reacting, to breathe before deciding, to ask instead of assuming. That is not weakness. That is maturity. You no longer need to prove anything. You no longer need to impress. You no longer need to justify your pace. The need for validation is loosening because identity is settling. This strength is quieter, but it lasts longer. It is rooted, not reactive. It does not panic when outcomes are unclear. It does not collapse when plans change. You are becoming someone who can hold peace even when answers are incomplete. That is real power. And this strength will begin to show itself in your choices. You will walk away sooner from what drains you. You will say no without guilt. You will say yes without fear. You will recognize alignment by the absence of pressure. You are not becoming harder, you are becoming clearer. And next, I will reveal how your past no longer defines your direction. My child, your past has shaped you, but it no longer leads you. Experiences taught you lessons, but they do not hold authority over your future. You once made decisions based on fear of repeating pain. You avoided risks because you remembered disappointment. You hesitated because you remembered loss. That was understandable. But it is no longer necessary. You are not the same person who was hurt then. You are not as fragile as you believe. You carry wisdom now, discernment now, depth now. The past no longer gets to decide what you attempt or what you avoid. It no longer gets to speak louder than my direction. What once protected you may now limit you. I am not asking you to forget what you lived through. I am asking you to stop letting it control you. You are allowed to hope again. You are allowed to trust again. You are allowed to move forward without constantly checking behind you. Healing does not erase memory. It changes authority. And your past no longer holds the authority it once did. You are stepping into a future that responds to who you are now, not who you were. And next, I will show you what opens when fear releases its grip. My child, when fear loosens, clarity increases. Not instantly, but steadily. You will begin noticing doors that were always there but once felt impossible to open. Conversations will shift. Opportunities will feel lighter. Decisions will no longer feel paralyzing. Not because everything is guaranteed, but because trust has replaced tension. Fear used to demand certainty before movement. Trust moves with guidance instead. You will begin recognizing alignment by peace, not excitement. By steadiness, not urgency. What belongs to you will no longer require force. You will stop chasing what drains you. You will stop explaining yourself to people who never intended to understand. You will stop negotiating with fear. This does not make life perfect. It makes it honest. And honesty creates space for growth. Fear will still try to speak, but it will no longer command. You will hear it and choose differently. That is freedom beginning. And next, I will show you how to remain grounded as things begin to change. My child, change can feel unsettling even when it is good. Growth shifts familiar ground. That is why grounding matters now. Stay present. Do not rush ahead. Do not replay the past. Let each step meet you where you are. Grounding comes from returning to stillness regularly, from listening instead of rushing, from checking alignment instead of chasing momentum. You do not need to move fast. You need to move true. When uncertainty rises, return to what is steady, your breath, your awareness. My presence, these do not change. Let progress unfold naturally. Let peace be your guide. Let trust set your pace. You are not behind, you are not late. You are exactly where growth meets readiness. Remain here. Stay connected, because what comes next will reveal the future you are being prepared for. My child, I know you have wondered why certain things took so long, why answers seemed slow, why progress felt uneven. You questioned whether you were falling behind or missing something important. But hear me now with clarity. You were never delayed. You were being prepared. Preparation rarely feels productive. It often feels like waiting, uncertainty, or repetition. It feels like learning the same lesson again and again. But preparation builds capacity. It strengthens discernment. It creates depth where surface success would collapse. If I had released certain things earlier, they would have overwhelmed you. If doors had opened sooner, you might have walked into them without the strength to stay. I was not withholding. I was protecting. You were learning patience without resignation, trust without certainty, obedience without visible reward. These lessons do not come quickly, but they last. And now they are part of you. You are not behind others. You are becoming someone different. Comparison measures speed. Preparation measures readiness. And readiness matters more. I was shaping your inner foundation so that what comes next will not destabilize you. You will recognize the value of this season later. You will see how nothing was wasted. Remain steady. Preparation is nearly complete. And next, I will show you what begins when readiness meets opportunity. My child, opportunity does not announce itself loudly. It often arrives quietly, without pressure, without spectacle. When readiness meets opportunity, there is peace, not panic. You will notice invitations that feel natural instead of forced, options that align without exhausting you. Openings that do not require you to abandon yourself. This is how you will know it is right. It will not demand compromise of your values. It will not require you to shrink or perform. It will feel grounded, not rushed. You will be tempted to doubt simplicity. You may wonder why it does not feel dramatic. But drama is not confirmation. Peace is opportunity, aligned with me, does not drain you. It strengthens you. It allows growth without erosion. You will not need to chase what belongs to you. It will meet you where you are. Be attentive. Stay responsive. because what I reveal next will help you recognize what is truly meant for you. My child, what is meant for you will not compete with your peace. It will not confuse your identity. It will not demand you abandon wisdom. You will recognize it by clarity that settles, not excitement that spikes, by consistency, not pressure, by alignment, not persuasion. You will feel free to say no without fear, free to say yes without anxiety, free to pause without guilt. What is meant for you honors your growth. It respects your boundaries. It aligns with your values. You no longer need to guess. Discernment now lives within you. You will feel when something resonates deeply rather than merely appealing externally. Trust this discernment. It was developed intentionally. You are no longer learning how to survive choices. You are learning how to choose well. And next, I will show you how to walk forward with confidence instead of caution. My child, confidence does not mean absence of fear. It means fear no longer leads. You will move forward now with steadiness, not rushing, not hesitating, simply walking. You will make decisions with clarity rather than urgency. You will respond instead of react. You will rest without guilt. Confidence rooted in me does not shout. It stands. You no longer need to justify your pace or your choices. You are not responsible for convincing others. You are responsible for staying aligned. As you walk forward, stay present. Do not borrow worry from tomorrow. Do not relive yesterday. This confidence will feel calm, grounded, and trustworthy. And next, I will close by reminding you of one truth you must never forget. My beloved child, remember this above all else. You are never walking alone. I am with you in clarity and in confusion, in movement and in stillness, in certainty and in questioning. What I began in you, I will complete. What I promised, I will fulfill. What I prepared, I will reveal at the right time. You do not need to be perfect. You only need to stay connected. Return to stillness when you feel overwhelmed. Return to truth when fear speaks. Return to me when you feel uncertain. I am not distant. I am not silent. I am present. Carry this awareness with you. Let it steady you. Let it guide you. This conversation does not end here. It continues every time you choose to listen. You are seen. You are loved. You are held. Amen. If you want to receive your blessings instantly, I have a secret video in my YouTube profile bio.